Hi friends! Today we're going to be going over gestural stories and kind of what this project entails more. So yesterday you had to pick a phrase from the list of either the metaphors or the motivational phrases, and now we're going to take this a step further. So the phrase that you chose is going to lead this project. So you're going to create a series of work that follows along to a narrative. So the phrase that you chose is going to end up having a story, and you're going to do a series of work that shows this story over time. So your final work must have a minimum of 6 drawings. So the first 5 are going to be your story in a progression, and then the final one, the 6th piece, will have one final text element. So whether you chose deep as the sea, or bright as the sun, or never stop growing, things like that. So those will be the final text element. Your phrase will be on that 6th piece versus the first 5 will be the storytelling. So the materials we're going to use for this project are going to be charcoal, graphite, and ink. Your final works are going to be on 8x8 paper. So some of the paper that got sent home with you will need to be cut down, and I'll give instructions for that later on. We are not touching that paper yet, however, so just keep working, either in your sketchbook or on copy paper. Do not use lined paper. It's not real artist paper, and we really want to make sure that we can see the way our marks are moving and we're not distracted by the blue lines in the lined paper. So the process is going to break down to, first we're going to storyboard, then we're going to charcoal and ink development, then we're going to develop our type, then once we do all this sketchwork and pre-work, we're going to put it on the final paper and we'll do a critique. So first, what is storyboarding? So storyboarding is often used when a lot of movie makers are trying to figure out the sequence for a film. They map out the different angles, the way the scenes progress from one story to the next. They do it in comic books, or you can also think of it like a flip book. As a kid, I remember making and sticky notepads where it went from a smiley face into an upside down smiley face as I slowly let each page skip one to the next, to the next. So when we think about storyboarding, we need to have a clear story transitioning from one page to the next, going from one point to another. So today, you're going to finalize your phrase or idea that you'll be using for your storyboard for this project. And you're going to begin storyboarding. So for this, we need to have at least 10 moments or frames of the story for sketches. Later on, we'll narrow it down to 5 or 6. But for today, we need to figure out 10 specific moments to see how it progresses. Then we're going to begin practicing and sketching your subject matter. So once you've completed your 10 different frames, and this might take today into tomorrow, that's totally okay, we need to go on and practice 2 to 3 pages of sketching material before you begin your final drawings on paper. And then for these sketches, you'll be working with graphite, 6B pencils, and willow charcoal sticks. You can start to get into the ink. It is not required, but we will get into the ink along Friday. Also, for this project, we will be working on Wednesdays, so please keep up with your coursework, guys. I know it can be a lot sometimes, so if you're having troubles keeping up, just email me and keep me in the loop. So what we mean by storyboarding is it goes from one sequence to the next. So on this one, I have my dancer who's starting to falling, is on the ground, but is getting back up, standing and thinking again, trying again. So it shows this clear progression on paper. You can either do it and do your progression on paper like this, to where it goes from one sequence to the next, or you can draw boxes on your paper for what would be each frame and draw within those. That works totally too. We're just looking for a clear progression. Drawing arrows between your works will also help when you go to submit it, and I will provide more examples on this as well. Now, once we finish with our storyboarding, we're going to work on our 2 pages of practicing the subject matter. So now once I've figured out kind of what positions I wanted my dancer to be in, I started sketching her out in different positions to see what I liked. So the reason why we're doing 2 pages of sketching matter is so that way we can get comfortable with our subject matter. That way there's consistency throughout our series of sketches. Because we want to make sure that these works are coming across clear as well as the story. So on this page, I practiced both my dancer as well as I practiced my phrase as well. So my phrase for this was practice makes perfect. I tried writing it in a cursive font, a regular all capital font, and then I tried playing with the thickness, tried playing with the charcoal. But then also I needed to start considering this idea of spacing. So the puzzles you're watching right now are going to start leading you towards the direction of typography. We're going to really dig into this on Friday and Monday. So that's why we're starting to have you look at these different ed puzzles that focus on this type element. And then also, we want to make sure that maybe we're sketching out things because sometimes we might mess up a word. And especially in ink, that's really important because once ink is on the paper, it is not coming up. So that's another reason why we practice sketching over and over again. So that way we ensure that we have a clear idea of what we're doing when we get to our final compositions. So again, today we're finalizing our phrase or idea. We're starting to storyboard our 10 moments or frames of the story for sketches. It must be 10, we cannot go lower. And then we will also begin practicing sketching your subject matter once you finish your 10 moments. So happy creating. Let me know if you have any questions.